Feeling unnoticed, feeling unappreciated, feeling taken advantage of, feel used and abused. I think we all been there. Especially me more times than I can really count on all 10 of my fingers. So, what am I getting at exactly? Really? Just talking about the relationship between an employer and an employee. So if y'all new to the channel, y'all tapped in with the Head of the Game podcast. Without further ado, y'all read the title, let's get right into it. So, what I've been going through over these last couple of weeks has been my current employer going through a internal direction towards how they want to run this company, right? So, me being for this specific company, and if y'all can't tell what kind of company I work for, I'm in a CDL Freightliner right now. I drive trucks, the big 18-wheelers. I'm not going to disclose my current employer because, the word can get around fast if y'all can put two and two together. But that's besides the point. The point is that my company has been going through a restructuring on how they want to move forward with the kind of description of how much home time you get in a specific region of the country. Mine in particular is out here in the west side. You feel me? The west side, the best side. So, as this change has been developing, my home time has went from being home once or twice a week, to 2 weeks, and now they extended it all the way out to 3 weeks. So let me go ahead and turn back the hands of time, and without being too descriptive, I'm gonna give y'all the play-by-play of how we got here to this moment. So when I originally applied for this company, they had a job posting of a specific account, and it was supposed to be out 2 weeks out, couple days out, right? I'm like, cool, all right, I can deal with that, right? I can deal with that. I won't be out there a month, and this is the sole reason on why I went out my way to pay for my CDL instead of not leasing on, but pretty much signing a contract with one of these mega carriers. So therefore my trucking career would have been at hope, and I would have had the least amount of leverage getting into this industry, right? So as I went for my CDL and I paid for it, therefore I'm a free agent and I have my pick of the litter of what, specific mega carrier I want to go with, right? To build up my experience and so for, better home time, better pay, you name it, right? So I look at, and I always reference this first year as an internship. You're really not in there for the money first. You're there for the experience, and if you so happen to come across the money, then that you can add that as a bonus. But primarily, it's just to make sure you got your experience, and also making sure that you just staying compliant with, your company and everything in between, right? So getting to the point, paid for my CDL, went into this company. Everything was gravy, right? Well, it was not too far away from home. Pay was decent, so on and so forth. Moving forward, this contract no longer existed, right? It no longer existed. And for all those drivers that was under that account, they had to create a new account to try to retain their drivers because they didn't want them losing those drivers to other companies, right? Completely understandable. I was on the fence because they weren't being discreet or too descriptive about what the pay package was going to look like, what we were going to do moving forward. It was going to be more of an inconvenience, basically like weighing out the pros and cons of, is this new opportunity a viable trade-off due to what's no longer available, right? Because at this point, I have enough experience to transfer over to a competitor. So I waited out. I'm really just at odds. I'm just like, man, I could go with this other company and, you know, pick up where I left off, but I'll wait it out, right? So by waiting it out, they were able to not only increase the pay package to where the pay was just top of the line, but relatively the work was a lot easier, right? Because it was just primarily straight drop and hook, no touch freight. Cool, right? So moving forward, as time goes on, you know, I'm traveling, going across the country. I'm sitting up there taking, you know, these good flights, you know, United, Southwest is all getting paid for, everything gravy, making the most money consistently I've ever made in my life. And they rolled out the red carpet for your boy. Ubers, flights, you name it, they got it, they gave it to me, right? So, unfortunately, the umbrella, the specific division that I was in, had transferred me over to a different division within this company, right? Meaning that I was under a new set of management that had no idea about the transition that us as drivers had to make during this specific account, turning into another one, right? So new managers, they're on a new account, they're new themselves, and they're pretty much just taking on the other drivers that's carrying on. And you would have hoped to think that from one manager to the other, that they were going to relay the message that, all right, here are drivers, this is what they went through, you know, we grandfathered their home time in because we want to retain our drivers and we want to, you know, treat them with respect and, you know, honor the fact that that's not what they signed up for. Cool, right? So moving forward, this becomes a very different job for me. And I'm trying to stick it out because, you know, I'm a team player. You feel me? I'm a team player. I really don't have that big of an ego. I just look at it like I'm gonna do what needs to be done, and I'm not gonna cause too much of an inconvenience unless you really, you know, put me in a disadvantageous position to where now I gotta sit up there and stand on something. You feel me? So now this home time goes from 2 weeks to 3 weeks out. And at that point, I think I reached my breaking point. Now, I know most companies do 2-3 weeks out, 3 weeks out, sometimes a month. It's very common in trucking, especially OTR, which that's what I'm doing right now, right? But I became so accustomed to that, adjusting to being away from home 2 weeks at a time, which still is a long time. But 3 weeks was just a bridge too far for me. So as I began to think, I was like, all right. So I brought it to their attention. I was like, okay, well, based off of the prior management before coming over to your division, they had grandfathered my old position home time into this new position that I'm on right now. Though I'm in a different division, it's still the same account. Brought it to their attention. They were like, well, you know, it's not, you know, we're not doing that no more, right? So that puts me in a very peculiar position where I'm like, all right, well, now I got to think about actually leaving this company, right? I got to actually think about this. Now, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it because I already know this company like the back of my hand. You feel me? Got a great rapport. You know, made some mistakes along the way, but, you know, came out a more experienced, more mature driver, right? So I remember what my old manager had told me, was like, hey, you know, I'm giving you over to these new guys. You got my number. Call me if you need me. This is a time where I feel like I needed them, right? So I'll call them up. I hit them up. I'm like, hey, you know, these new cats, these new people that's, you know, that I'm up under, they moved my home time up to where I feel like it's an inconvenience towards what I got going on, right? He then tells me like, okay, well, I personally can't do nothing about it because you're under a different jurisdiction, but I can give you the contact that's the same equivalent to the level that I'm on, because he was a general manager, right? General manager / manager, so on and so forth, right? So I go ahead and write the dude. He tells me, company blank is moving towards this amount of home time, this amount of home time for new hires. Or not new hires, but we're just only hiring for those kind of positions. I don't get the hiring part. I'm just like, I'm already hired. I'm already kind of like, already in this company. So I don't get why the hiring part even got brought to my attention. But I'm like, okay, whatever. You're just basically just speaking in generality, like, hey, whether you've been hired or you're being hired on, because I wouldn't be able to talk to you if I was not hired, right? But my old manager tells me, hey, well, depending on the outcome, because he's going to have the final say, come back to me and let me know what he says, and we'll go from there, right? So I'm thinking of the possibilities, like, okay, maybe he'll put me back towards the old division, and maybe I can get back to doing what I used to do, which I was appreciative of. But, he started running through all these different accounts, and it just seems like nothing is jumping out as a compatible, complementary, account that would respect my home time, right? So after he gets telling me, like, hey, if you want to stick it out for a couple months, come back to me, holler at me, so on and so forth, and we'll move forward from there. And we get off the phone. So the writing's on the wall. I need to put in my 2 weeks. I then call them up the following morning, and I tell them, I gotta leave. I can no longer move forward with this company, though this company helped me grow so much, so it's a highly recommended company. It's a hard decision to make, but it's no longer, it's compatible to what my life is susceptible towards, right? So I told the first manager that. He's like, all right, what the other manager will get back to you. Then he calls me back, the second manager, and then he tells me, you know what? We're going to honor your home time. We're going to knock it down to 2 weeks. And we came to a mutual agreement, and I'm very appreciative of it. And I'm pretty sure both sides were able to come down to a compromise where it made sense for the both of us, right? Because I'm not going home every week like I originally started, but then I'm not being out here 3 weeks at a time. So it's the moral of the story of this whole story that I just explained to y'all, right? And this is just beyond trucking. This goes just with any industry, right? For one, you want to keep it professional. You want to get your point across, keep it professional. Once you've exercised every outlet that you can, you have to put your foot down on what does not make sense for you, because it's your life and your situation that you're in charge of at the end of the day. And that's why I sit up there and say that whether you buy your CDL or you work for your CDL or whatever leverage you have in that market, you're now a hot commodity if you decide to take care of your business and making sure that you have a great rapport and understanding that every level, every step that you take, you become more valuable. And that's why I tell you that your first year, it's really not about the money. If you can come across the money, that is a bonus, but it's really about your experience, because once you cross a certain threshold, you go from maybe 20% of the industry being able to accept you to now, once you get your year, 80%. 80 to 90% of this industry are open up towards you. And if you took care of your business and you out there, you being responsible, so on and so forth, and you're learning as much as you can, that's when you have the leverage and bargaining your chips, because I don't sit up there and say, you get what you deserve. To a certain extent, but I definitely feel like you get what you negotiate. What I mean by that is whatever leverage you have, right? you utilize it to your best extent, right? Even if some people may not even quantify that you're not even qualified for a certain position or a certain person, that doesn't matter, because just as long as the two individuals come to a aligned agreement, the outside world no longer has an influence on that situation, because it's an agreement between two people. And just as long as they honoring that, you know, nobody's opinion else really matters to a certain extent. You feel me? So that's the moral of this story, man. Don't allow these companies, you know, like I said, be respectful. Understand your leverage. Understand your leverage, and also as well understand the leverage you don't have, because you don't want to bite off more than what you can chew. Because some people may sit up there and call your bluff and let you jump off the bridge, just jump out the window, or whatever impulsive action you got to do. But whatever it is, you have to sit up there and put yourself first, because the company is always going to put themselves first if you're at a disadvantageous position where they need your help, right? If it goes against their bottom line, their policy, they're going to let you go, regardless of how cool you are, what kind of rapport you got with them. Yeah, they're always going to look out for their best interest first, so I would advise you to do the same. So, appreciate for y'all watching the video. If y'all got any thoughts, comments, leave those below. Like the video. Last but not least, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. We going up. More videos on the way. All right, I'm up out of here, y'all.